see what's happening. Thank you, Brennan. It's 7:04. All right, welcome everybody to July 13th, 2020 Board of Education regular meeting. Thank you all for joining us, whether you're in person or online. Please, Brandon, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. King?
Here.
Ms. Reese?
Here.
Ms. Sebastian?
Here.
Danny absent. Ms. Mansfield?
Yes, here.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me with that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right, next is, do we have any additions to the agenda if needed?
Yes, can we add the Val-Sal policy to the agenda, please?
Where would you like that at?
Probably under board items for discussion and approval.
We can put it on board items, and then if it comes to approval, then we can.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, anything else? All right. Hearing of the public regarding agenda items. Anybody? All right. Did you see any on YouTube? I didn't see any.
I didn't, and I have not gotten any in my email box either.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is important dates for the district communication meetings and announcements. Well, I see a couple of dates on there that really stand out to me, and that's August 19th with the new teacher induction day, as well as August 25th as the first day of school for grades 1 through 12, and followed by August 27th as the first day of school for a new kindergarten class coming into the school. Does anybody have anything else? I think the only thing we're missing is if we're able to get with the athletic boosters to determine when and if, if we're going to do a hog roast and kind of working through the health department requirements of that.
Correct. The last I had heard, the preliminary date is,
Oh, it's on there.
it's on there, August 8th.
Sorry.
But I just don't know if it's confirmed or not. I mean,
Right.
it's penciled in, but I think they're waiting for their guidelines.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's coming up fairly quick.
Correct.
What time does that normally start?
Oh,
It's in the afternoon and runs till around 8, 9 o'clock.
Last year they had fireworks.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We close with fireworks in the dark. Yeah, at the end. So,
Yeah, I will follow up with them, get a solidified time range, and then I'll add that to the minutes as well.
okay, thank you. It is a spectacular job and appreciate all they do for the community, supporting the school and our community. All right, with that, moving forward, then we'll go on to treasurer's items requesting board action. Mr. Hattery?
Thank you, Mr. King. Board, I have the following items for consideration tonight. Approval of minutes. As we switched over to board docs, it's taken us a little while to get accustomed to the new system. So that's why you see an individual one for each minutes, as that's how we can attach them into board docs. So I have the following minutes, May 18th, May 20th, May 26th, June 2nd, June 8th, and June 22nd for your review and approval. Also approval of the payment of bills for June. Also, the next one is the financial report. Just one thing again, just to point out, the district had another successful operation year. This is just a chart to show the last 6 fiscal years related to the general fund and emergency fund balance. Staff and everybody should be applauding themselves for doing their due diligence. Had a little over 600,000 in surplus. Even with the loss of state foundation money, we still operating surplus for the year, so that's a good sign as we move forward. So just to show that to the community. Next item would be the establishment of funds. Math Club, they've asked me if they could have their own separate fund. They do elementary, middle school, so it's usually ran out of the principal fund. So just to better account for it, what's going in, what's going out, to create a separate fund for that, and as well as the CARES. As mentioned in the previous month, we received about we're eligible to receive about $82,000. There's 2 types of CARES money. We got the one that's 507 fund, which is the first one. It can be used for things towards schools to help related to COVID-19. Mr. Ferks, along with administration, and I, we're still, we've got a list of things that we believe that we're going to be using that for. So that's what the CARES money will be directed towards. Professional development is one thing too. So and in order to receive that, we have to create a separate fund, just like any other federal fund that we get. And that's the fund number that was established.
So a couple of the items that we're looking at in regards to the CARES funding dollars has to do with additional hand sanitation systems that will be located around the entranceways to the buildings, also near the cafeteria, restrooms. We're also looking at face coverings to have an abundant supply on campus. CDC guidelines indicate currently that water fountains are to be turned off. So we're looking at some automatic bottle fillers throughout the district so that the students and staff can still have access to water supply. It'll just have to be done through an automatic filler, not necessarily a kindergarten or a first grader putting their mouth on the faucet, which we know happens, and that's how oftentimes it is transferred. I'm going to also be making some calls tomorrow in regards to, had a conversation with Milton Union, going to have some additional calls in tomorrow to look at some potential HVAC, a project that allows for, I don't know the right word, is it blue light or UV type,
UVC.
yeah, type work with our HVAC units to see if that could help with the cleanliness of the air supply as well. So we have a lot of ideas and a certain dollar amount that we have available, and then depending upon the cost of all of those, we'll share that out and we'll prioritize what we think's the biggest need first.
Well, I think one of the benefits of the UV lighting is the fact that it'll help continuously, even past this, reducing allergens and virus and bacteria and stuff in the air that's just sent around in the school.
Correct.
Great idea.
So those are just some of the things that we're looking at with that. Keep that on your radar.
Next one would be approval of contract, Montgomery County ESC, as well as Clark, Schaefer, and Hackett to do the 2020 financial compilation. Approval of donations. We got an anonymous donation for $500 towards football. And then also Miss Mary Roll worked with Myers to get a gift card donated in the amount of $400. That will be used towards rewards in the elementary. So good job, Miss Roll. Transportation. So this is the in lieu of transportation every year when it's impractical to transport certain students. So Ms. Gail Rhodes sends out a letter to the eligible students' parents, and then they sign off and agree to it. And this is the board approving that dollar amount. Back in, I believe, April, the board approved the dollar amounts for the scholarships to be rewarded that we have through Bethel. These are the recipients. And so the board is I'm just asking the board to update based on the recipients. We send out the letter to the recipients stating how they are able to receive the scholarship amount. And then we cut the check, the district itself, and send it to the university that they are attending. If you remember in June, we approved advances to certain funds as no fund can have a negative fund balance at the end of the year. Federal funds do have a stipulation where if you have a project cash request in before the end of the year, you're allowed to have it negative. However, I already went ahead and did it since the board had already approved it. We received the money back in back last week, so this is just repaying that money back up the district advance last month. And then last one is recommendation for the board to approve a freeze on salaries for district administrators for the 2021 school year.
Thank you, Brendan. Do we have a motion to place the items from the treasurer's report on the consent calendar?
This is Lyda Jacob. I'll move.
Thank you, Lyda. Do we have a
And
second?
I'll second Jacob.
Thank you, Lori. Any discussion? Well, I'd like to thank everyone that provided the donations, as well as, Ms. Rose went out and getting that from donation from Myers as well, putting in that effort for us. I'd like to welcome the new staff, so as well for the 1-year contracts. Was that in this section?
It'll be under mine.
Okay, well, I'm reading ahead. I apologize,
right.
everybody. Well, I'll say that again. All right. Anybody have any other discussion items? All right. Brandon, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield,
Yes.
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. All right. So a motion to adopt the consent calendar with the items from the treasury.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Julie. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori, for the second. Any further discussion? All right. Brandon, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield.
Yes.
All right. Next item 8 on the agenda is superintendent attendance items requesting board action. Turn it over to Mr. Firks.
Thank you. We have a number of staff members that are on the agenda this evening for Board of Education consideration. 2 of those staff members were able to be here in attendance tonight, one of them with their young son, and another one is zoomed in as well. So I'll give you a brief introduction of each of these individuals and kind of give you some highlights and let you know a little bit about them. In the back here, we have Mrs. Erin Kaler and her son Arthur. So welcome to Bethel Local Schools. First time in school, right?
Yeah.
Good for him. All right. So Mrs. Kaler comes to us with previous experience at Northwood Local Schools, which is up in the Toledo area. And then she also taught at Mount Healthy City Schools, which is down in Cincinnati. So she has a bachelor's degree in middle childhood education from Miami University and a master's degree in curriculum and instruction from BGSU. So we'd like to welcome her and her son, the Aspirant's alma mater, her and her son to Bethel Local Schools this evening.
Thank you.
Also in attendance here with us tonight is Mrs. Colleen Henderson. She's here in the front row. She is going to be our new grades 6 through 12 social emotional counselor. We were able to add this position to the district with our social emotional wellness dollars that we received from the state of Ohio. It's going to be a nice addition to our district with increasing numbers of students that need additional assistance in areas. It will allow Mrs. Davidson, who was serving K through 12, but quite frankly, had spent most of her time in the elementary because of the caseload numbers, to shift to the K through 5. She'll be relocating her office space from the middle school office up into the second floor of the elementary. And she'll be centrally located there in the elementary. This Colleen will then be located in the middle school office, and she'll be serving the 6 through 12 building. So really excited to have her on board. She has a lot of experience, currently is working for the University of Dayton as an ECHO counselor, which stands for Empowering Children with Hope and Opportunities. She has served 2 of the parochial schools in Dayton area, that's correct, and also has previous experience with children's services, in particular with Greene County. So a lot of unique experiences from both of these folks in larger districts and also in the sector with children's services as well. And so we're very fortunate to add them to our staff. So welcome to Bethel Local Schools. Let's see here, my third one. All right, zooming in. Kelsey, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so joining us via Zoom is Kelsey Garwood. She will be joining us as an intervention specialist. She was currently working at Trotwood Preparatory and Fitness Academy in Trotwood, has previous experience with our special education director, Mr. Cochran. And so I think, that helped with a lot of ease and comfortability during the interview process, especially with her experience in special education and knowledge of the IEP process and the writing, et cetera. Kelsey joins us. She has a Bachelor of Science degree from BGSU as well, and graduated high school from not too far south of here, down in Centerville. So really lucky to have all 3 of these folks here this evening. And then finally, was unable to be here this evening, but will be on the agenda for consideration is Miss Lauren Rudd. Lauren has a Master of Education in Middle Childhood Education, Bachelor of Science in Middle Childhood Education. Both of those are from Wright State University. Most recently, she just completed her student teaching here at Bethel Elementary, where she served in the math and science classrooms in grade 5. And so it really helped her with her knowledge of not only the staff, but the students that are on campus, familiarity with our district and the day-to-day and operations of the staff. Was really excited about having her apply for the position and then obviously work through that process and be the #1 candidate, just because of having worked with her for quite an extensive time with student teaching. So really excited about the 4 individuals that we're bringing on to campus for the 2020-2021 school year. Letter B has to do with approval of summer employment. This was a question, or excuse me, this has to do with Mindy Campbell, who serves as our assistant tech coordinator, or what's her exact role, title-wise, just summer help for technology, and the rate at which she will be paid at. Letter C has to do with the addition of summer school teachers. I was able to speak with Mr. Swope, high school principal, in regards to this. Because of the high number of students that had signed up for summer school help in math, we had to bring on a second staff member to help with the caseload. So to be able to serve the number of students that had signed up and parents that signed their children up, we felt like it was the need to add Mrs. Hecht onto our list as far as hirings. Letter D has to do with approval of leave of absence for two of our staff members, Christina Randall and also Amanda Hughes. And they both will be going on FMLA leave, one for maternity leave and also one for surgery as well. So those are on there. Letter D, or excuse me, E. Letter E has to do with approval of supplemental positions. We had a correction. Previously, it was incorrectly indicated that Chase Goulet was doing weight room from, speed and agility, and Steve Farrell was doing weight room June to August. We had to flip those back. So we now have Chase doing the weight room from June to August as being hired this evening, and Coach Farrell handling speed and agility. That was just simply getting the correct title next to him. Letter F is a resignation. Josh Anderson is resigning as JV girls basketball coach, and the intent for that position is for him to get rehired as 7th grade girls basketball coach. So we're in the process of working through those changes as well. So that's on here this evening. And then letter G has to do with the approval of changes to the 2020-2021 school calendar. Mrs. Brewer is here this evening. She can kind of add into it if she so chooses. Had some good discussion with not only her, but also Mrs. Henry, who is serving as vice president this year. So we talked a little bit about the start of the school year and a lot of the unknowns that are going on, and just what we can do calendar-wise to provide extra professional development for the staff to ensure that we can give them the necessary professional development and training so that if changes are made at the state level, for example, back to remote learning, that we can provide some additional time for staff to not only receive training on different learning management systems, but also give them necessary time to be able to navigate through online learning, uploading lesson plan creation, communications, all that good stuff. So, Mrs. Brewer, did you have anything to share in regards to that?
We just thought it was a good time to just to even talk to one another, so we can all be on the same pace. Like doing lesson plans, are we doing the same amount of work and so forth?
So we took one of our days that was built into the calendar year and we moved it to the front of the school year before the year started. So it'll give the staff, instead of having 2 days of in-service, it'll give them a third day. And that's the purpose for that. So it was a good conversation. The staff was really on board with it, which was nice, which I knew they would be because we're helping them out as well and they're helping us out. And so I think it's a good time to make that change now, not knowing what next year is going to look like. Keep all this stuff organized. What's that? Yeah, strategic plan, please do. Letter H has to do with the approval of the strategic plan, something that I'm very excited about, and hopefully the school board members are extremely excited about as well. It's been a long process that's been extremely beneficial, not only for our school district, but I hope also think it's been beneficial for our community and our parents and our students. So we were able to partner with the impact group. One of the goals that were set for me when I arrived here by the school board was the creation of a strategic plan. We went through that process of interviewing several different groups, and impact group was chosen. And right off the bat, we started with discussions with parents and community members and students and staff and the administrative team. And we had a retreat with the board where we were able to really share a lot of ideas out about what are the things that Bethel Local Schools really thrives at and does well at, and what are some areas of opportunity for us to improve upon. And so throughout all of those discussions and dialogue, we were able to create our 3-year strategic plan. This is obviously the high-level 10,000-foot cloud document that will be approved this evening. We have some additional documents that will be working documents behind the scenes that really get into the nuts and bolts of the plan and the specifics behind it. I would anticipate additional follow-up discussions with impact group to continue to refine and define our specific goals, which within each of the categories that are listed within the strategic plan. They also provided to us a social media release document that's very user-friendly and easy for community members and parents to understand. If approved this evening, that'll be rolled out tomorrow as well. So although the document is being approved this evening, the work is a long way from being done. So on behalf of the community, I'd like to thank the board first and foremost for supporting this project, hiring the impact group. They've been tremendous to work with, very user-friendly organization that's provided a lot of great detail and insight to the process. And I look forward to the continued discussions that take place and the work that's going to obviously be done with a lot of partnerships between staff and students and the parents and the community members and the administration and the board to continue to make Bethel Local Schools a great place to live and also a great place to learn and a great place to work. So with that being said, if you guys have anything to share about it, feel free.
Jacob usually speaks, but I'd like to say thanks to everybody too. I mean, there was a lot of effort put in, community participated, staffs, I mean, everybody. So it was nice to see that.
Yeah.
So thanks to everybody who took the time.
It was extremely.
Yes, and I think, go ahead.
No, sorry, I apologize. Go ahead.
I also wanted to thank everyone who had input, and I definitely think the community is going to see by using a external group how professional the plan is and how functional hopefully the plan will be. I think the three really people or groups that are going to have the most work is obviously Justin as superintendent, because all of this really falls under him. And then there's a lot of initiatives under communications. So Holly Mutlu is going to be very busy and has already started on some of these, standardizing some of our platforms. And the third area is in curriculum. So Jay Borchers is going to be very, very busy. That's not saying there aren't a whole lot of other people that are going to have skills, but those three areas in particular are just, I think the community and parents are going to see huge benefits if we can complete this successfully.
I think we said from the very beginning, this is Jacob, by the way, that we have to understand what is our roadmap to where we're going with the school and how can we get there the most effective and efficient way that's in alignment with students, staff, teachers in our community. We've been able to lay that out with students, staff, and the community helping us develop it so that we know the direction that we want to go. And it's an easy way for us to grade kind of where we are in that process and where we need to focus on to continually enhance our capabilities. I think that we'd be selling ourselves short and selling our students short, that if we didn't show that continuous improvement was important, not only as a student and an educator and as a school system. And so this is another way for us to show continuous improvement is always on the forefront.
Yeah, and I would say also on a personal note, it was nice as a first-year superintendent here at Bethel to be able to sit in a lot of those meetings and gain a tremendous amount of valuable insight as far as community, parent, and staff perspective and student perspective on what they feel has gone well and what areas they feel we need to improve upon. So it's really helped guide some of the decisions, areas of focus this year as a first-year superintendent. So it was really not only beneficial as a strategic plan for the district, but also to allow me to do my job more effectively as well. Okay, so that's letter H, approval of the strategic plan. Letter I is Bethel Gifted Service Plan proposal. This is one that's on annually in every school district in Ohio. The Bethel Board of Education will need to take a look at and approve the gifted service plan that's created by our gifted service coordinator, who was employed through the ESC. There weren't significant changes to it from last year. Essentially, it was the same plan that was approved last year, and it meets all the criteria and recommendations from the Ohio Department of Education in regards to gifted and talented services. That is letter I. Those are the items that I have on the agenda for this evening.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, we'll do a motion to place items from the superintendent's report to the consent calendar.
I'll move.
Thank you, Lori. Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Lida.
Thank you, Lida, for the second. Discussion?
I had one question on the Montgomery County ESC contract. Is there a reason we're running it through Montgomery County and not Miami County?
There's some services that Miami County doesn't do for Mr. Cochran.
Okay.
So it's just, we haven't got the Miami County one yet. We usually don't get that till August. And then you guys will approve that one too.
I remember there are specific services that we get from just Montgomery County that aren't available.
And just some background knowledge, we have moved a significant amount of the services that were located in Montgomery back to Miami County, but we haven't been able to move them all just because they don't provide necessarily what those supports are the students that need for those disabilities.
So they don't have the resources at this time. That's fine. I just wanted to check, and I do really appreciate you and Mr. Cochran working to get the services moved back to Miami
Yeah,
County.
we've been able to do quite a few. It's just unfortunately Montgomery's a little bit bigger of an agency, and they're able to offer some things that our kids need educationally that Miami County right now is not able to. But it's not saying they won't be able to in the future. And if they can, we will most certainly look at bringing them all back.
And I also want to say, even though I can't see everyone, I want to say welcome to all of our new staff members. I read some great resumes, and you all bring a tremendous skill set to Bethel, and so welcome.
Thank you.
They said thank you from inside here. They're a little far away from the microphone. I would also echo Lori talking with the new staff that we hired here tonight. Welcome home, because this is a great place to be. And we hope that you will embrace our culture and the direction that we're going in our school, trying to enhance our students, but also enhance the environment for all the teachers, staff, and administrators. So, hopefully you'll enjoy it. Thank you. All right. Brennan, could you call the roll, please, sir?
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield,
Yes.
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. All right, thank you. A motion to adopt the consent calendar with the items from the superintendent's report.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Julie. Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Lida.
Thank you, Lida, for the second. Any further discussion? Okay, Brennan, could you call the roll, please, sir?
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Sebastian.
Yes.
Any other information from the superintendent?
Once again, I'd like to welcome the new staff members being hired this evening. Congratulations. Welcome to Bethel Local Schools. Very excited to have each and every one of you join our school family. We have a lot of exciting things going on, and I think you're going to really like the working environment that we're trying to create here at Bethel Local Schools. And we also have a tremendous staff, both classified and certified, that hopefully you form a lot of tremendous relationships with and become close friends with these folks. It really is a great place to work. We have excellent students, and excited to have you guys come. And with that being said, I don't say this often, but I offer this to every new employee. You're more than welcome to exit stage right, or log off, or stick around for the meeting. If I was you, I'd probably exit stage right, but that's your choice. So welcome to Bethel Local Schools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
All right, next up is number 10 under board. Board report. We'll start with facilities. We'll go to Val South after that.
Okay, so here's a quick summary of what happened at the facilities committee. The items for discussion were an update on the temporary swing space Will Scott is providing. The area is clear, the pads are poured, 5 of the 9 units have been delivered, and Reliable has started electrical connections. And as they felt last time, if the weather holds, it could be completed earlier, the entire project.
Yeah, the date is July 31st, but they thought if the weather stays hot and dry, that they could potentially have it done a week or 2 earlier, which would give the staff ample amount of time to be able to get in and get things set up for classroom space. Now, I'm not sure about furniture. How are we on?
I just had a phone call today. They're setting up, I got to call them back to set up a time for delivery.
Okay. So we're, the furniture is right on track as far as delivery as well. So everything's going really, really good right now with the installation.
Okay, excellent. Under the master facilities plan, we had an email that came last time, but it was near the end of the meeting and we didn't get to answer it then. So it was a question about using the 5 acres to the south of the current elementary school to construct the new elementary school. And the discussion was that we need 19 to 20 acres to put an elementary school on. So 5 acres is not enough. And traffic was another concern, was one of the reasons of using that space. And we are going to do some traffic studies to figure out where the best place to put the buildings and things are. The second part of that was talking about the master facilities plan itself, phase 1 and phase 2 construction, and what options we have. Levin Porter showed a master plan site study graphic of potential places for the stadium, the baseball field, the K5, and the future addition to the existing school. And that's pretty much it. The next steps, Levin Porter is going to send some other options to the team, and Brennan and Justin are going to work on RFQs for the next phase.
Excellent.
That's it.
Continuous moving forward. Thank you. All right. The next on the agenda was the Val South discussion. Mr. Swope sent us the Val South updated plan for us to adopt. Anybody have any comments? Lydia, would you like to start off that?
Yeah, is someone able to pull that up or no?
You have it on there. You see if I can do the share.
Let me get it up.
I mean, while you're doing that, I can just say that from what I've read online with policy in Ohio Higher Ed and the statutes and things, it looks all perfectly in line to me. So I don't have any issues with what has been proposed whatsoever. From just my knowledge of what I've read about policy, it looks fine. So I like that it accommodates a lot of people's concerns about the on-campus students being accommodated by having the co-valedictorian. I think a lot of people will be happy with that. I mean, I don't know that I necessarily personally find that necessary, but I think it would make a lot of members happy. So I think that's a good compromise.
I had concerns with implementing it for the class of 2021. That's pretty huge to change our senior class if that was correct in the policy. I think we need to give people some time.
I don't think legally we have any option. I think Mr. Pogorski came back and said that we have to because we're not in line with ORC and OAC right now. So.
Well, the valedictorian policy is separate from the weighted GPA, at least in my mind.
How is that when it's based off of the weighted grades? I don't know how it can be separated.
Well, the new policy we adopted is not in line, but the one that we had in place before, I do not think the ValSal policy was in error, and I don't think you can change that for your current seniors and juniors. I see a lot of potential issues changing midstream.
Right, I see what you're saying, Lori. The question I would have is there any conflict between the current plan and And the proposed plan for the current juniors, if it doesn't change the outcome, I mean, I haven't been able to validate, put them side by side to do apples and apples comparison to see how that would lay out. One of the biggest things I think that would probably be in our best interest would be to send this to our legal advisor with the old plan as well, and have him give us a read on the current one, on the proposed one, and then when does our advisor believe it's best to begin it, if that makes sense, in comparison to the two plans, and then go from there. That would be my suggestion with regards to that.
Is there any way to, I know this would be some work, but maybe just for a handful of students, is there any way to, thank you, is there any way to figure out if anybody is in fact affected negatively by changing it?
If you have a student who's taken all CCP classes the next 2 years, they have a greater likelihood of being Val and Sal under the new policy, under the new proposed policy.
And
But all students have that opportunity going forward, right?
well, not the current plan, a little bit different of a plan to get to valedictorian, salutatorian.
Okay.
It wasn't as open as this is. So people following the current plan, it took them on a specific path that they had to go to get there, versus the way this is more open to allow for a lot of other items to count versus what our current one is.
Our current Val-Sal plan encouraged students to stay on campus. The new plan will not do that. And by current, I mean the old plan, the one that was in place before any of these changes were made. The one for the class of 2019 and 2020.
But-
Right. My question was, is there any way to determine if what's happened to date will have a negative impact? I mean, if we change it now, they could still go they could still do the same path, right?
It's apples and oranges almost. The way I remember looking at the 2019-2020 handbook, it was significantly discouraged you from taking those classes off campus.
But the impact of taking them on or off campus is the same though, right? The weighted part is the same, whether they take them on campus or off campus. Is that not true?
Your class weight will be the same, Julie, but we had different requirements for Val and Sal to eliminate students who solely took off-campus classes.
Right, I understand.
So we could have a student that stayed in line with our plan, our program, because their focus has been to be the valedictorian or the salutatorian of their class. And so they followed our plan. What could happen is somebody who wasn't attempting possibly to be the valedictorian, salutatorian, could have taken extra CCP classes and be going off campus so that 100% of their classes are weighted versus what's weighted here, and they'll not be it, so that
Right, I understand.
it'll switch it, put them at a disadvantage. That's why I don't know if that's the right year to start.
Well, it
or
doesn't put them at a disadvantage, right?
the
it's the other
ones that
person
were
that had the
following the
advantage.
plan gives them the other person the advantage, I guess, at that point. But so setting the right year, I think is a critical
I got you.
component.
Well, I mean, be that as it may, I'm going to go back to the statute again, because the statute specifically says that you cannot punish or discriminate against a student for taking classes off campus. And it also mandates that you must go back and update weighted grades based on whenever they were taken. It doesn't matter. You must update as of when the policy was changed, and those statutes were put in place in 2017. So we've been out of line with the statutes for a while now.
I think that was if we updated our policy. Since we didn't update our policy, we remained the same with regards to that. That's why just having our legal advisor give us the direction of how we should move forward. from that aspect, and then take it from what he advises us to
Okay.
do.
Well, that's not how I read what we got back from our advice we have currently, but absolutely get advice again. That's fine. Sure.
Right. Well, what I'm trying to alleviate,
Mhm.
Ms. Mansfield,
Mhm.
is the opportunity for a misconception,
Mhm.
another lawsuit with regards to Val Sal, because we've already had some of those,
Mhm.
and to change this in the middle of what we've already done could be detrimental to some of our students. And so our options may be to do nothing, based on what our legal advisor tells us. We have the plan now, right? We're looking at it, and that we could just send it to them and he'll advise us on the most legal appropriate way,
Mhm.
as well as with Mr. Firks looking at what is the most appropriate for our students, and roll that out in a concert with Mr. Swope.
Okay.
That's what I think is our most appropriate action to take. And I think if there's any emerging needs to do this before the next work session, we'll probably have to do another special meeting, just specifically to do at the direction of our legal advisor.
Just a thought to throw out there too. If need be and we need to have a special meeting, we could also maybe invite him to be on a conference call to answer any questions as well.
Yes.
Because as things pop up, I kind of just am the middleman. That's not my area of expertise. So I essentially just, I mean, it may be more beneficial to have you folks, as you develop questions, just ask him directly on a Zoom call. But we don't have to, just a thought.
Well, my concern is what are parents going to say in 2 months when whatever the policy we establish, if it's this new proposed policy, whose kids were operating under the old one, and then they're going to come. And I mean, I would be shocked if we don't have some upset parents. And that's my concern. And right, in my opinion, rightly so. We've changed standards midstream. So I guess we need a plan for what I'm not discounting what you said, but I mean,
Right.
I don't want.
I understand. And it's no hard feelings. Look, this isn't personal. This is all just business. I don't ever take things personally. You should understand that about me. I think we already have some parents with hard feelings already that their kids are not getting, the weighted grades and things as it goes. And I've heard from some of them as well. So I just want to do what's right. And I just want to have our policy in line the way it should be. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. I want to do what's right. That's it. So.
But there's a lot of different rights depending on the vantage you're looking at. If you take all CCP classes, this policy looks great. If you can't drive or can't take CCP credit, not so much. And there was thought back 3 years ago when we didn't have online classes that we didn't want to penalize kids who didn't have a vehicle or had late birthdays. So there was a lot. I don't want to get into the semantics, but there was a whole lot of thought put into that early Val-Sal policy to try to equalize education, regardless if you could drive or not.
Sure.
Okay. So I think that's a good direction for us to go, and taking Justin and Mr. Firks's advice from that, moving forward.
Yep.
And I will, Brendan, make you the host again. You can run it. Okay. Continuing on under board reports, I would like to make a proposal. I'll start with talking about a couple of key points that I have. We probably one of the key things that we have done as a board is establishing with our top administrators the performance performance evaluation system and the pay for performance kind of a program, which allows for us to highlight key elements and key events and skills from those administrators. From specifically looking at Mr. Firks, since his 1 year time on the board or serving at the school, he has had to hire multiple administrators. He's hired some key positions that have benefited many of the students, their families, and uplifted the entire environment for students, families, staff here at the school. He effectively managed a significant fire in the school as a crisis, as well as not only ensuring that the fire was extinguished quickly, coordinating with the fire department, coordinating with all the staff and teachers, and ensuring we had 100% accountability of everyone, establishing a rapid communication plan to get all the information out to our community and parents so they knew what they were to do with their students and they expect students arriving home early. He's had multiple personnel changes. He's been able, in his first year, as we voted on today, the final product of the strategic plan, we're almost done with the master's facilities plan. And he also established an administrators retreat, which helped bring administrators, himself, and the board with Mr. Hattery together to help us get on the same page as we went to move forward, establishing our vision and, and mission. And I think he's done an outstanding job as our superintendent this first year. I would be remiss, I think, that if we did not bring that up, and to the really the intangible pieces of changing our environment, the environment for the staff and our students in the school. It's just been unparalleled the amount that's been accomplished here in our school over the last year. And it's just bewildering to me how he's been able to do it all. So I know that's from utilizing great heart, significant amount of time, and especially being in a district for a very short period. He's managed probably more events and more crises than most superintendents will do in a career as a superintendent in his first year alone. And I think our school is moving in the right direction significantly, providing the most safe and educational environment for the students, staff, and the teachers. Morale is through the roof. From what I can see and tell, just walking through the hallways, it's an entirely different environment here at the school. I'd also like to mention, Brennan as well, Mr. Hattery, as our treasurer, has done many things to aid us in our ability to operate as a school. From multiple savings, increasing our capability and ability to save some of the dollars that are in our budget through strategic financial decisions that he's done with different money marketing accounts and things that have helped pay for teachers, helped pay for staff that we weren't expecting to get. Our budget, since he's been here, has been under budget every year. He's established a finance committee, the rules of engagement for that. And then on top of that, most recently, the over $3 million in savings to our taxpayers. Not to mention the amount of work that goes into is also covering our human resources division with regards to the appropriate hiring practices, payroll, taxes, any of those things that come in. We've had zero complaints with regards to his ability to perform those actions. Truly, multiple times it's heard about how outstanding, how great he is, and how he goes out of his way for our staff and teachers. So with a lot of information, and I'm not saying anything that is not known to the entire board. And yeah, and both of them dealing with our COVID-19, the coronavirus outbreak, and the way that we were able to transition almost immediately from an in-school program to an online program that no one was trained for, no one had planned for, and we were effectively able to send students home in a very controlled and easy environment with simple, easy instructions. As well as how we've been able to manage through the summer, moving forward, and establishing the plan for the return to full capacity back at the school in those aspects. So we've so many hurdles and so many events that have gone on, and based on the programs that they both operate under, there'll be more discussion. But I would like to make a motion that we provide Mr. Firks a $5,000 bonus and Mr. Hattery a $3,000 bonus for their outstanding and excellent performance. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Lyda, for the second. Any discussion?
I think we all second it.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Great job.
Thank you. We appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
That's the summary version because Jacob set it up.
Right.
Thank you too, and I wouldn't be remiss if I wouldn't also special thanks to the HR for Amy Mathis. She's done an exceptional job with staff, making sure that they're up to date on the benefits and enrolled and know what to do and what is needed. And as well as making points for accounts payable. They just make my job a lot easier. So I would like to give thanks to them too.
Thank you. Lori, were you going to say something? I wasn't sure.
I was just going to mention, we have to think of a lot of things when we consider this, and about, what was it, Justin? A week ago, I emailed you and you said something like, I still have 19 of my 20 vacation days to take and I have less than a month left to take them. So I think that indicates the time and energy. And my guess is, unfortunately, you're probably either going to have to roll some of those over or just not take them. So I want the community to know that hopefully this is a bonus, but also how much work you've done this last year.
I rolled them over, so thanks.
I just don't know with COVID and the building project, how next year is going to be any less stressful, but we'll see.
Figure it out.
Right.
But I can't speak for Brennan, but I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. It's been an interesting first year. It's been crazy with all the stuff that went on. I don't think anybody could have expected the end of the school year, but the staff and the students and the parents and the community really stepped up and did a tremendous job as far as adjusting and adapting really, really quick. And then even with the school fire early on in the year, how calm everybody was. You can tell they knew to stay patient with people. And we dealt with a lot of people coming in and out of school that day, and parents that were, showing up everywhere in news media. And we had a lot of people that really, from staff to office personnel to students to parents to board members, that really came in and helped wherever they could. And I think that's part of what makes Bethel special, is that when tough times happen, people are willing to step up and help out. And it's a really good place to work as far as people who genuinely care about school. They genuinely care about the people that work here and the students that go to school here, and they want the school district to be the absolute best it can be. That's a great place to work because of that.
Any other discussions or items? All right, Brennan, could you call a vote, please?
Who's second? Did you second?
No.
Lyda did.
Like, Mr. King,
100% yes.
Ms. Mansfield,
Absolutely, yes.
Ms. Reese,
Yes, absolutely.
Ms. Sebastian,
Yes.
Okay. Hearing of the BEA president.
You want me to follow that up?
Yeah.
I got nothing, no. believe me, the staff concurs with everything you just said. Everything you just said. Can you hear me? I'm using my teacher voice. Not much is going on. July, it's been hot. I know, I guess the word that I'm hearing from the staff members is anxious. They're very anxious. They really, really want to come back, but they're very anxious about how to do that. But they're very willing to work with whatever we got. So yeah, going back to that extra day in the beginning, I'm going to use our treasurer as an example, moving the Zoom call back to a host. That is something we need to learn on that professional development day, how to use this correctly.
I would second that.
Yes, just to feel more comfortable, just in case we have to flip the switch. So, but yes, I concur with everything you guys just said. This is will be my 21st year at Bethel, and this was one of my best, even though it ended differently. But yes. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any hearing of the public? I didn't see it on there, but I'll just ask if there's any comments online.
I'll check my email real quick.
Okay.
I do not have anything.
Okay. Moving on, the next would be executive session. If needed, do we need executive session?
I shared with you folks a document earlier today, but I don't know if you had time to even take a look at it at all in regards to reopening, like a general plan.
Okay.
But I don't know if you've had a chance to review it.
I have
I
not.
did.
Just, can we review it briefly
Yeah.
in executive under security and just kind of hit some
Under security.
highlights?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
And then Tracy, I can share that with you tomorrow.
Number
So,
6.
I will actually be here
Okay.
at 1 because AJ is with Caleb.
Oh, great.
So if you need me, I'll be in.
Yeah, maybe I could come down and share it with you and we can
Yeah.
talk about it a little bit.
So we have an item for number 6. I believe we have an item for number 1. Do we have any others?
I don't expect any action on number 6, but just
Okay.
discussion.
Lori, does 1 cover what you think? Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll move.
Thank you, Lori. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie, for the second. Any discussion? The discussion item I had is the items that are discussed for executive session. There's no plan for a vote afterwards at this time, as far as I know. Brendan, could you call the vote, please, sir?
Mr. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Reese,
Yes.
Ms. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes. Time into executive session will be 8:07.